Sarah loved the piano. Even though she couldn't see the keys, she knew them like the back of her hand. Each note was a different feeling, a different color in her mind. The low notes were like a warm, comforting brown, while the high notes sparkled like bright yellow stars. Every day after school, Sarah would rush to the old, slightly out-of-tune piano in her living room. Her fingers danced across the keys, practicing scales and chords until her hands ached. She wasn't just playing notes. She was telling stories. Stories of brave knights, magical forests, and soaring birds. She dreamed of playing for a real audience someday. She imagined the hush that would fall over the room as she began, the way the music would fill the space, touching everyone's hearts. She longed to share her gift, to show people that even though she couldn't see, she could create something beautiful. Her mom always encouraged her. "You have a special gift, Sarah," she would say, her voice filled with love. "Don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't do something." Sarah clung to those words. She knew that being blind made some things harder, but it also gave her a unique perspective. She heard the world in a different way, felt the music more deeply. She practiced harder, driven by her passion and her dream. Soon, a local music festival was coming up, and Sarah decided, with a mix of excitement and nerves, that she was going to audition. This was her chance to show everyone what she could do, to bring her music to life for a real audience. She just needed to be brave enough to take the stage. Meanwhile, across town, Mr. Harrison was preparing for the same music festival, but with a very different attitude. He was a famous pianist, celebrated around the world for his incredible skill. Concert halls were always packed when he played, and critics raved about his interpretations of the classics. But fame had made Mr. Harrison arrogant. He believed he was the best, and he wasn't shy about letting others know it. He had little patience for anyone who wasn't as talented as him, and he often made cutting remarks about other musicians. He saw the music festival as a chore, a way to boost his ego by judging less experienced players. He sat in his grand, sunlit studio, a Steinway piano gleaming under his fingers. He ran through a difficult piece by Chopin, his fingers flying across the keys with effortless grace. But even as he played, a frown creased his face. He wasn't truly enjoying the music. He was just showing off his technique. His manager, a nervous man named Mr. Peterson, peeked into the studio. "Mr. Harrison," he said timidly, "the festival organizers are wondering if you've reviewed the audition list." Mr. Harrison waved his hand dismissively. "I'll get to it, Peterson. Honestly, I doubt there's anyone worth listening to. Just a bunch of amateurs trying to imitate me." Mr. Peterson swallowed nervously. He knew Mr. Harrison's temper, but he had to try. "There's a young girl, sir. Sarah. She's blind, but—" Mr. Harrison interrupted him with a harsh laugh. "Blind? And she thinks she can play the piano? This should be interesting." In a disastrous sort of way. He chuckled again, a cold, humorless sound that made Mr. Peterson shudder. He knew that Sarah was in for a very rough day. The day of the music festival arrived, bright and sunny. The town hall buzzed with activity. Young musicians, clutching their instruments, nervously chatted with their families. The air was filled with the sounds of nervous laughter, last-minute tuning, and the excited chatter of the crowd. Sarah arrived with her mom, her heart pounding in her chest. She could feel the energy of the room, the anticipation hanging in the air. Her mom squeezed her hand reassuringly. "You'll be great, sweetie," she whispered. "Just remember what we talked about. Play from your heart." They found their seats in the auditorium. The stage was set with a gleaming grand piano, bathed in the warm glow of the stage lights. Sarah could almost feel the vibrations of the music that was about to fill the room. Mr. Harrison arrived fashionably late, his entrance causing a stir among the audience. He strode confidently to his seat at the judge's table, his face set in a permanent scowl. He surveyed the room with a critical eye, clearly unimpressed by the scene before him. Mr. Peterson trailed behind him, looking even more anxious than usual. The festival began with a series of performances, some good, some not so good. Mr. Harrison listened with barely concealed boredom, occasionally making sarcastic comments under his breath that Mr. Peterson desperately tried to ignore. Sarah tried to focus on the music, but she couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. She knew that Mr. Harrison was a powerful figure, and she worried about what he would think of her performance. Still, she held on to her dream, determined to show him and everyone else what she was capable of. Her name was getting closer on the list. Next up, the announcer's voice boomed through the auditorium. We have Sarah Johnson. Sarah took a deep breath and stood up, her hands slightly sweaty. Her mom gave her another reassuring squeeze and guided her toward the stage. Sarah gripped her white cane tightly as she made her way down the aisle. The sound of her cane tapping against the floor seemed incredibly loud in the sudden hush that had fallen over the audience. Reaching the stage, she paused, orienting herself. She could feel the warmth of the stage lights on her face. A kind stagehand gently guided her to the piano bench. She sat down carefully, adjusting her position until she felt comfortable. The audience was quiet, a mixture of curiosity and sympathy in their silence. Some people whispered to each other, wondering what to expect. Sarah could sense their eyes on her, but she tried to ignore them. She closed her eyes for a moment, taking another deep breath, and focused on the music within her. Mr. Harrison leaned forward, a smirk playing on his lips. He nudged Mr. Peterson and whispered, just loud enough for some of the audience to hear, "This should be good for a laugh." A few people around him chuckled nervously, but most of the audience glared at him, a feeling of unease settling over the room. They were ready to hear Sarah, to give her a fair chance. They didn't appreciate Mr. Harrison's rude behavior. Sarah, unaware of the rising tension in the audience, prepared to play. She lifted her hands, her fingers hovering over the keys, and waited for the silence to become complete. It was her moment. Before Sarah could play a single note, Mr. Harrison decided to speak again. He leaned into the microphone, his voice booming through the auditorium, shattering the fragile silence. "So," he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm, "we have a blind pianist. How interesting. I'm curious, young lady, how do you expect to play without seeing the keys? Are you planning to just bang on them randomly and hope for the best? Perhaps you should have chosen a different hobby, one that doesn't require sight." A collective gasp swept through the audience. People were shocked and outraged by Mr. Harrison's blatant cruelty. Some began to boo and hiss, their voices rising in protest. Mr. Peterson buried his face in his hands, wishing he could disappear. Sarah froze, her hands still hovering over the keys. Mr. Harrison's words stung like a slap in the face. She felt a wave of humiliation wash over her, threatening to overwhelm her. Tears welled up in her eyes, blurring her already limited vision. She wanted to run off the stage, to hide from the judging eyes of the audience. But then, she remembered her mother's words, "Don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't do something." She took a shaky breath and straightened her back. She wouldn't let Mr. Harrison's words defeat her. She had come too far, practiced too hard, to give up now. She would show him and everyone else that she was more than just a blind girl. She was a musician, and she had something to say. She found her voice, though it trembled slightly. "Sir," she said, addressing Mr. Harrison, "with all due respect, may I still perform?" Mr. Harrison, taken aback by Sarah's unexpected response and the palpable disapproval of the audience, hesitated for a moment. He hadn't expected her to stand up to him. He glanced around at the angry faces, realizing that he had perhaps gone too far. Still, he couldn't resist one last jab. "Very well," he said, his voice still laced with sarcasm. "But don't expect any special treatment. If you fail, you fail. And don't blame me for your limitations." A wave of murmurs rippled through the audience. Some people were whispering words of encouragement to Sarah, while others were openly expressing their disgust with Mr. Harrison. Mr. Peterson, looking increasingly pale, tried to catch Mr. Harrison's eye, but the pianist ignored him. Sarah ignored Mr. Harrison's final barb and focused on the piano. She closed her eyes again, blocking out the noise and the negativity. She pictured the music in her mind, the notes flowing like a river, carrying her away to a place of beauty and peace. She took a deep breath and let her fingers fall onto the keys. The first notes were soft and tentative, like a gentle breeze rustling through the leaves. But as she gained confidence, the music grew stronger, more vibrant. She played a piece by Chopin, a nocturne filled with longing and passion. Her fingers danced across the keys with astonishing speed and precision. The notes poured out of the piano, filling the auditorium with a melody that was both heartbreaking and uplifting. It was as if she was pouring her entire soul into the music, telling her story through the language of the piano. The audience was captivated. All eyes were on Sarah. Even Mr. Harrison seemed to be paying attention now, his expression unreadable. The room was silent, save for the beautiful music that filled the air. As Sarah continued to play, the atmosphere in the auditorium transformed. The initial skepticism and pity faded away, replaced by awe and admiration. The music flowed from her fingers like a living thing, weaving a tapestry of sound that touched everyone's hearts. She played with a passion and intensity that belied her young age. Her blindness seemed to disappear, replaced by an inner vision that guided her fingers across the keys with unerring accuracy. She wasn't just playing notes. She was telling a story of overcoming adversity, of finding beauty in darkness, of the power of music to heal and inspire. The piece she had chosen was technically challenging, full of intricate passages and demanding harmonies. But Sarah played it flawlessly, her fingers flying across the keys with effortless grace. She attacked the difficult sections with gusto, her body swaying with the rhythm, her face alight with emotion. The audience was spellbound. They sat in stunned silence, listening to every note, every nuance. Some people closed their eyes, letting the music wash over them. Others leaned forward, their faces etched with concentration. Many were moved to tears, touched by the raw emotion and undeniable talent that Sarah displayed. The sound seemed to vibrate through the very walls of the auditorium. The piano sang, cried, and soared. It was as if Sarah had somehow unlocked the soul of the instrument, coaxing it to reveal its deepest secrets. This was more than just a performance. It was an experience. It was magic, and everyone in the room was under its spell. Mr. Harrison remained still, but his eyes were fixed on Sarah. The frown had disappeared from his face. He looked thoughtful. Something was changing within him. As the final notes of the Chopin nocturne faded away, a hush fell over the auditorium, thicker and more profound than before. It was a silence born not of pity or expectation, but of sheer, unadulterated awe. Every person in the room, it seemed, was holding their breath, reluctant to break the spell that Sarah had woven. Then, slowly at first, applause began to erupt. A few tentative claps, then a surge of enthusiastic hand clapping that quickly swelled into a thunderous ovation. People were on their feet, cheering and shouting their appreciation. Some were wiping away tears, overcome with emotion. Others were simply beaming, their faces radiant with joy. Sarah sat at the piano, her chest heaving, her face flushed. She couldn't see the standing ovation, but she could hear it, feel it in the vibrations that shook the floor beneath her feet. A small smile played on her lips. She had done it. She had silenced her critics, proven her worth, and shared her gift with the world. Her mother rushed to the stage, tears streaming down her face. She embraced Sarah tightly, whispering words of love and pride in her ear. Sarah clung to her mother, feeling a surge of gratitude and happiness. The applause continued, refusing to die down. People were clamoring for an encore, chanting Sarah's name. She looked out at the audience, her heart overflowing with emotion. She wanted to play more, to share more of her music. But she knew that she had already given them her best. She stood up, took a deep bow, and allowed her mother to lead her off the stage. As she walked away, she could still hear the echoes of the applause, a sweet and triumphant sound that would stay with her forever. She had silenced the doubters. While the audience roared its approval, Mr. Harrison sat motionless at the judge's table, his face a mask of conflicting emotions. He was a man who prided himself on his musical knowledge, his impeccable taste. He had come to the festival expecting to be bored, perhaps even irritated by the amateur performances. He certainly hadn't expected to be humbled. He replayed Sarah's performance in his mind, analyzing every note, every phrase. He had to admit grudgingly that she possessed a rare and extraordinary talent. Her technique was flawless, her interpretation insightful, her passion undeniable. He had heard many accomplished pianists in his career, but few had moved him as deeply as this young, blind girl. He thought back to his cruel words, his dismissive attitude. He felt a pang of shame, a feeling he hadn't experienced in years. How could he have been so quick to judge, so blinded by his own arrogance? He had almost missed the opportunity to witness something truly special. He watched as Sarah was led off the stage, still basking in the glow of the applause. He saw the joy on her face, the pride in her mother's eyes. He knew that he had to do something to make amends for his behavior. He couldn't let his prejudice and pride stand in the way of recognizing true talent. He stood up abruptly, startling Mr. Peterson, who was still cowering in his seat. "Come on, Peterson," he said, his voice uncharacteristically subdued. "We have to go talk to that girl." He pushed past the other judges and hurried toward the backstage area, determined to find Sarah and offer her the apology she deserved. He knew it wouldn't undo what he had said, but it was a start. He needed to admit he was wrong. Backstage was a chaotic scene of excited performers, proud parents, and bustling stagehands. Mr. Harrison, with Mr. Peterson trailing anxiously behind, navigated the crowded hallways, searching for Sarah. He finally spotted her near a refreshment table, surrounded by well-wishers. Her mother stood protectively by her side, beaming with pride. He approached them hesitantly, feeling a knot of nervousness in his stomach. This was harder than performing in front of thousands of people. He cleared his throat. "Excuse me," he said, his voice surprisingly gentle. "Sarah?" Sarah turned her head in his direction, a polite but wary expression on her face. "Yes. My name is Mr. Harrison," he said. "I was one of the judges." Sarah's expression didn't change. "Yes, sir. Heard you." Mr. Harrison winced inwardly. He knew that his words had hurt her, and he couldn't blame her for being guarded. I wanted to apologize," he stammered, "for what I said earlier. It was insensitive and wrong. Your performance was extraordinary. You have a gift, a truly remarkable gift." He paused, searching for the right words. "I was mistaken. I let my prejudice cloud my judgment. I am truly sorry." He extended his hand, hoping she would accept his apology. He knew that it wouldn't erase the pain he had caused, but he hoped it would show her that he was sincere. He was not used to apologizing, and he felt awkward and clumsy, but he knew it was the right thing to do. He waited anxiously for her response. Sarah paused, considering Mr. Harrison's outstretched hand. She could sense the sincerity in his voice, despite the awkwardness of his apology. She thought about her mother's words, about forgiveness, about giving people a second chance. She also thought about the importance of standing up for herself, of not letting prejudice define her. Slowly, she reached out and took Mr. Harrison's hand. Her grip was firm and confident. "Thank you, sir," she said, her voice clear and strong. "I appreciate your apology." Mr. Harrison visibly relaxed, a wave of relief washing over his face. "Thank you, Sarah," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "You've taught me a valuable lesson today." Sarah smiled. "I hope so, sir. I believe that everyone deserves a chance, regardless of their differences." Mr. Harrison nodded, impressed by her wisdom and grace. "You're absolutely right," he said, "and I promise to be more mindful in the future." He hesitated for a moment, then added, "Sarah, I know this is probably presumptuous of me, but I would be honored if you would consider taking some lessons from me. I think I could learn as much from you as you could from me." Sarah's eyes widened in surprise. She had never imagined that Mr. Harrison, the famous pianist, would offer to teach her. It was an incredible opportunity, one that could change her life. She looked at her mother, seeking her guidance. Her mother smiled and nodded encouragingly. "I would be honored as well, Mr. Harrison," Sarah said, her voice filled with excitement. "Thank you." And with that, an unlikely partnership was formed, born out of adversity, forged in forgiveness, and destined to inspire others. Mr. Peterson almost fainted from shock. He never thought he would see the day. The story of Sarah and Mr. Harrison spread quickly through the town, then the state, and eventually the world. People were inspired by Sarah's resilience, her talent, and her unwavering belief in herself. They were also touched by Mr. Harrison's humility, his willingness to admit his mistakes and learn from them. Sarah and Mr. Harrison began their lessons, and as they worked together, they both grew as musicians and as people. Mr. Harrison rediscovered his passion for music, finding joy in sharing his knowledge with someone who appreciated it so deeply. Sarah flourished under his guidance, honing her skills and expanding her repertoire. They performed together at several concerts, their unlikely partnership captivating audiences everywhere. They used their platform to speak out against prejudice and discrimination, advocating for equal opportunities for all, regardless of their background or abilities. Sarah became a role model for young people, especially those with disabilities. She showed them that anything is possible if you believe in yourself and never give up on your dreams. She received numerous awards and accolades, but the most meaningful recognition came from the countless letters she received from people whose lives she had touched. Mr. Harrison, once known for his arrogance and cynicism, became a champion of inclusivity and understanding. He used his influence to support young musicians from disadvantaged backgrounds, providing them with opportunities they would never have had otherwise. He often said that Sarah had opened his eyes and his heart, teaching him the true meaning of music and compassion. The world was changed. Years later, Sarah stood on the stage of a grand concert hall, bathed in the warm glow of the spotlight. The hall was packed with people from all walks of life, all eager to hear her play. Mr. Harrison sat proudly in the audience, his eyes fixed on her, a smile on his face. Sarah addressed the audience, her voice clear and confident. "I want to tell you a story," she said, "about a little girl who dreamed of playing the piano, even though she couldn't see. She faced many challenges, many obstacles. She was told that she couldn't do it, that she should give up. But she refused to listen. She believed in herself, and she never stopped pursuing her dream." She paused, her eyes shining with emotion. And then, one day, she met someone who didn't believe in her, someone who tried to tear her down. But instead of letting that person defeat her, she used their negativity as fuel to drive her forward. She showed them, and everyone else, what she was capable of. She smiled. "That little girl is me. And I'm here today to tell you that anything is possible if you believe in yourself and never give up on your dreams. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something. Follow your heart, trust your instincts, and never stop learning." She turned to the piano, her fingers poised above the keys. This next piece is dedicated to everyone who has ever faced adversity, everyone who has ever been told that they can't do something. It's a song of hope, a song of resilience, a song of triumph. And then she began to play. The music soared through the concert hall, filling every corner with its beauty and power. It was a testament to the human spirit, a celebration of the indomitable will to overcome, to create, to inspire. And as she played, Sarah knew that she had finally found her voice, a voice that would resonate with the world for generations to come. Sarah's legacy extended far beyond the concert hall. She established a foundation to support young, aspiring musicians with disabilities, providing them with the resources and mentorship they needed to pursue their dreams. The foundation became a beacon of hope, empowering countless individuals to overcome obstacles and achieve their full potential. Mr. Harrison remained a close friend and mentor to Sarah, continuing to advocate for inclusivity and understanding in the world of music. He often spoke of the transformative power of forgiveness and the importance of recognizing talent, regardless of its source. The music festival where Sarah had first been mocked became a celebration of diversity and inclusion. It showcased the talents of musicians from all backgrounds and abilities, promoting a message of hope and acceptance. And so, the story of the blind black girl who was mocked by a famous pianist became a timeless tale of triumph over adversity, a testament to the power of talent and passion to overcome prejudice and discrimination. It was a story that reminded everyone that true beauty lies not in what we can see, but in what we can feel, in what we can create, and in the indomitable spirit that resides within us all. Sarah's music continued to echo through the years, a constant reminder that with courage, determination, and a little bit of faith, anything is possible. The end.